enough, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Jonas, and the title of this video is The Anti-Semitic Truth and Israelite Parity. Deuteronomy 23, verse 7. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. I started with this scripture to show you that I don't hate Jewish people of white color, Edomites, or any color, or any people that join them out of ignorance of Judaism, Christianity, or the Bible. You see, it is impossible for me to stand with God and hate them. God will do all the hating that is necessary. I don't have to love them. I don't even have to like them, but I am told not to hate them. I don't hate the Egyptians either, because we lived with them for 430 back-breaking years. This is about truth, because it is truth that will set you free from the lies that seek and are designed to chain you to Satan and his fate. I know we've all seen the latest actions of Kanye West. And it's great that Kanye West is woke up and that he's trying to stand up for his people, the true Israelites. But he needs to do it in the right way. And he needs to understand exactly what those Jewish people are talking about. And there have been some others prior to him that have come out and spoke about the actions of the Jewish people concerning business practices, dealing with Israelites, Black American people. Many of that self-personalized group that call themselves Jews but do lie because they are not true Judeans and are of the synagogue of Satan has called Kanye anti-Semitic. Now, of course, Kanye proclaimed, how can I be anti-Semitic when I am Semitic? Well, it's true that he is Semitic. It's true, I'm Semitic. It's true that many other people around the world are Semitic. But what Kanye West and many other people are not understanding is the play on words. The play on words. And I'm going to show you that. Now, by the definition they created specifically for Jewish people that might be true, we have to look at that because they created the term anti-Semitic, anti-Semitism for Jewish people in particular. So we're going to look at this subject with a mirror and let it reflect the truth. We're going to learn some new terms also, y'all, or words that you didn't know because I created it for our people. And you should embrace them and use them because two can play this game of he hate me. How do you know the difference between the real Israelites, God's people, and the fake Jews that call themselves Israelis, that call themselves Jewish? The curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28 tells us how. Let's look at Deuteronomy 28. Verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. The curses from verses 16 all the way to 68 in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Verse 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. And these curses will be upon God's true people for a sign that they are God's people, and for a wonder for other nations to see how we are being punished by God and upon our seed or descendants forever. These curses do not fit the fake Jews that call themselves Jewish, that are in Israel today, and that sit in high places and high positions of power all around the world. Semites like to say someone hates them when others speak against them or speak against their desires. What is hatred? Let's get the root understanding for the basis of these made-up words, anti-Semitic and anti-Semitism, which was coined in 1879 and used in English in 1881. Now, it was first coined in 1879 by Germans and then used in English in 1881. Let's look at hatred according to Wikipedia. Hatred is an intense negative emotional response towards certain people, things, or ideas, usually related to opposition or revulsion towards something. Then they have listed hatred is often associated with intense feelings of anger, contempt, and disgust. Hatred is sometimes seen as the opposite of love, and that's man's love. Keep in mind that this is the definition that Edom created, not us or the Bible. Edom created this definition. Men created this definition. Men in power created this definition. The very Jewish people themselves created this definition. So long as we understand that, we're going to understand what I'm here to do today. Wikipedia uses this image as a definition of hatred back in 1957. Hazel Massery yelling at Elizabeth Eckford in a display of racial hatred in 1957 as she goes to school where whites went to school. This is not anti-Semitism. Now it's time to learn a new word that I created. What you see here is not anti-Semitism. I call this Anti-Judahism. Hazel Massery is not anti-Semitic, even though this black girl in this picture is Semitic all day long. Hazel Massery is not anti-Semitic for hating Elizabeth Eckford. So what is Hazel Massery? Hazel Massery is anti-Israelitic because she hates or is disgusted with Elizabeth Eckford, an Israelite, God's chosen people. So you see, you just learned two words right there, anti-Judaism and anti-Israelitic. Hazel Massery is anti-Israelitic because she hates or is disgusted with Elizabeth Eckford, an Israelite, which is one of God's chosen people. This is anti-Judaism. Hazel Massery is anti-Israelitic. She hates Israelites. We clearly see that. This kind of hatred against our people is common even today, but no one is calling them out on it. Well, it's time to hold up the mirror and call them out for their hatred against God's chosen people. Yes, brothers and sisters, we can play that game too. We can create words that define a strong desire to defraud, to hate, to have hostility against, to have anger against, to have contempt for, and to have disgust against our people. We can create our own words, and that is what is being done here today. Now, I'm not going to write or call to try to get these words put into their dictionaries or Wikipedia, because I don't need their validation for truth, understanding, and the improvement of my vocabulary. I don't need their validation. But if one of you would like to press those words into the books, more power to you. Move on. Do it. Please feel free and give credit to the Most High God and Brother Jonas. Now, let's look at their version of He Hate Me. Anti-Semitic. Adjective. Anti-Semitic. Adjective. Anti-Semitic. Spelt two ways, one with a hyphen, one without a hyphen. Hostile to or prejudice against Jewish people. Anti-Semitic remarks were posted on the site. That's an example. Anti-Semitic remarks were posted on the site. So we see that the definition of anti-Semitic is hostility or prejudice against Jewish people. Not all the other anti-Semitic, not all the other Semitic people, but a particular people, Jewish people. You see, that's where Kanye and a lot of other people fall short. And we try to defend being Semitic when they clearly created a definition that solely includes only Jewish people. We have to let them have that. That is theirs. They created that. So, if you hate Jewish people, then yes, you are anti-Semitic. But this is why we create our own words, because we have to have words that are for us. Now, when they created this word, they did it so that it applies only to Jewish people, right? That's what we've seen so far. The phrase ish, I-S-H, means pertaining to a particular group, but not actually of that group. In this case, the Jewish people are pretending to be us, the Israelites, God's chosen people. We are Judeans, or the tribe of Judah, called Jews for short. They are Jewish, ish, I-S-H, meaning pertaining to a particular group. They are fake, not of the chosen people of God. They are not of the bloodline of Jacob. They are not descendants of Judah, the son of Jacob. They are not the true people of God, Yahweh. You see the difference? Their version, anti-Semitic, meaning hostile to or prejudiced against Jewish people. Now, let's take a look at our version. Our version, Anti-Israelitic, hostile to or prejudiced against Judean people, in particular the tribe of Judah, but also against all Israelite people, which are God's chosen people. Anti-Semitism from Wikipedia, free encyclopedia. Y'all know that one. We all use it. Anti-Semitism, also spelled anti with a hyphen, Semitism, or anti with a hyphen, capital S in Semitism, is hostility to, prejudice towards, or discrimination against Jews. Now, we know this is referring to Jewish people. This is their thing. So, if you are doing these things, yes, you are considered anti-Semitic. You are considered taking part in anti-Semitism. A person who holds such positions is called anti-Semite. Anti-Semitism is considered to be a form of racism. See, they even made it a form of racism. Okay, let's continue. So, if anti-Semitism is a form of racism, then anti-Judaism is a form of racism at the highest level, because it is racism against God's chosen people and God's head tribe. A non-Israelite person that have hostility towards, prejudice towards, or discrimination against Judeans, such a person is called an Anti-Judite or Anti-Judean. So now we have two more words to learn. A non-Israelite person that have hostility towards, prejudice towards, or discrimination against Judeans, such a person that do that is called an Anti-Judite or Anti-Judean. Those two words meaning the same. Anti-Semitism may be manifested in many ways, ranging from expressions of hatred of or discrimination against individual Jews to organized pogroms. Pogrom, an organized massacre of a particular ethnic group. In this case, we're talking about Israelites. In particular, that of Jewish people in Russia or Eastern Europe. The Nazis began a pogrom against Jewish people in Germany by mobs or police forces, or even military attacks on entire Jewish communities. Now, we've all seen these things before, haven't we? Israelites trying to live their lives in peace and prosperity in Greenwood, Oklahoma. And then comes hatred. Then comes people who are anti-Israelitic. And let's see what took place. White Americans, and some were no doubt Jewish people, being anti-Israelitic, being anti-Judite, or being anti-Judean, displaying all manner of anti-Judaism. Although the term did not come in common usage until the 19th century, it is also applied to previous and later anti-Jewish incidents. Notable instances of persecution include the Rhineland massacres preceding the First Crusade in 1096, the Edict of Expulsion from England in 1290, the 1348 to 1351 persecution of Jews during the Black Death, the massacres of Spanish Jews in 1391, the persecutions of the Spanish Inquisition, the expulsion from Spain in 1492, the Cossack massacres in Ukraine from 1648 to 1657, various anti-Jewish pogroms in the Russian Empire between 1821 and 1906, the 1894 to 1906 Dreyfus Affair in France, the Holocaust in German-occupied Europe during World War II, and Soviet anti-Jewish policies. Though historically most manifestations of anti-Semitism have taken place in Christian Europe since the early 20th century, anti-Semitism has increased in the Middle East. Now, out of this we just read, there's a great deception in here. Most of this from 1096 all the way up to 1492, those were not white Jewish people that were being persecuted. Those were actually black Judeans that were being persecuted during the Dark Ages. We ran Europe during the Dark Ages. And when they kicked us out and enslaved us, going forward after the Renaissance began in the 1400s, they began to whitewash history. Now, they were the white Jewish fake people during World War II. Absolutely. Even in the early 1800s. But during the Dark Age years, from 1096 all the way up to 1492, that was us. Black Moors who were Israelites that also went under the banner of Islam. But we also were Israelites that went under the banner of being Israelites. And you'll see a lot of that in Russian icons. If you research history, you have to do this work yourself. If you research history, you will see that there are many books that show us running Europe, that show us having positions of power. But that history is us. So don't be deceived by that. Now let's continue. The root word Semite gives the false impression that anti-Semitism is directed against all Semitic people. This is key. This is what Kanye West and many others out there need to understand. The root word Semite gives the false impression that anti-Semitism is directed against all Semitic people, including Arabs, Assyrians, and Armenians. You notice they don't throw in there black people. The compound word anti-Semitism and anti-Semitism was first used in print in Germany in 1879 as a scientific sounding term for Judenhass. Judenhass means Jew hatred. And this has been its common use since then. So the word Semite gives the false impression that anti-Semitism is directed against all Semitic people, and it is not. It is not directed against all Semitic people. It's a private word created for a particular group that call themselves Jewish. Fake-ish. Not real people of God. That's why they created that word and definition to single out only Jewish people. Private class. That is what Kanye West don't understand. And that is why I created words we can use for our people to reflect the hatred that all nations, especially Edom, has for God's chosen people. Two can play that game. The fake Jews needed a scientific sounding term for Judenhass, Jew hatred, to use against people as a cover for their falsehood, because the whole world know they are not God's chosen people. The whole world knows it. The Israelites left Israel black and came back white as Israelis. Really? Come on, world. Y'all know this. And if you don't, you need to learn about it. You need to learn about the Balfour Declaration. It was a sham to get our land in Israel. They've been trying to take control of that for the longest. And until the Ottoman Empire fell in World War I, they were never going to set foot back in that land. But when the Ottoman Empire fell in World War I, and they made them change their name to Turkey, when that happened, they knew they were going to get that land. And it happened after World War II. The real Judeans and all Israelites need a scientific sounding term for Israelite hatred, because Israelite hatred has been going on for centuries. And Israelite hatred is anti-Israelitic. That is our word, anti-Israelitic, Israelite hatred. This compound word was first used in 2022 in a video to use as a mirror for all non-Israelite people to recognize the hatred they have bestowed upon us, God's chosen people, in the past and the present. The root word Israelite should not give the impression that anti-Israelitic is directed against true Israelite people, but anti-Israelitic is directed at all people that are not of the true Israelite bloodline, that desire to defraud, that display hatred towards, hostility towards, anger towards, contempt towards, and disgust towards God's chosen people in general, but not all American blacks, Hispanics, and indigenous pre-American people. So let's look at these words again. Number one, Anti-Judaism. And this is not to be confused with Judaism. Judaism is spelled Judaism. Anti-Judaism is spelled Anti-Judahism. And anti-Judaism is a form of racism at the highest level, because it is racism against God's chosen people and God's head tribe. Number two, Anti-Israelitic. Anti-Israelitic, non-Israelites that are hostile to or prejudiced against Judean people, in particular, the tribe of Judah, but also against all Israelite people, which are God's chosen people. Number three, Anti-Judite or Anti-Judean, a non-Israelite who holds hostility to, prejudice towards, discrimination against, or seek to defraud Judeans. Hold the mirror up to the Jewish people, and other people for that matter, and show them the hatred they say that has happened to them, and is happening to them, is nothing compared to the hatred that has happened to us, and is still happening to us, Israel, God's chosen people. John 15, verse 18. If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. Verse 19. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. We have it right from Christ. Christ is telling us that the world hates us because we are his chosen. He has chosen us out of the world. So we know the world hates us. So we need to have words that show that the world hates us. Two can play that game. Recognize who you are, Israel. We are the most hated, used, and abused people on the planet, but we are God's chosen people. If you won't stand for something like the truth of God, you'll continue to fall for anything like the lies of Satan and Edom, and your reward will be continued misery in this dying, delusional world with no common sense of the glorious hope that is waiting for you to wake up to. Peace to you, Israel. Remember, TikTok.